Today's episode has been brought to you by Schedulicity.
And also by the 20-hour Yoga for Pelvic Health teacher training happening in Meaford, Ontario, here in Canada, September 19th and 20th of 2020. Spaces in this training are limited, so go to theconnectedyogateacher.com, look under trainings and events to find out more or to register. Hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. I'm a mom of 3, a yoga teacher, and a trainer and consultant who works for yoga teachers. And this podcast was created for you, dear yoga teacher, so that you can connect to the information and ideas every single week so that you feel supported as you navigate these sometimes very tricky jungles of being a yoga teacher and also an entrepreneur. As your yoga business grows and expands, you may find yourself considering adding revenue streams or diversifying your offerings beyond just teaching yoga. One of the things that I often hear from yoga teachers is that they want to add in a yoga teacher training and start offering that or become part of a yoga teacher training. If you are considering this, or if you have a yoga teacher training now currently, or if you've wondered what it takes to create a yoga teacher training, I think this episode is really going to be a useful one. I've invited Aruna Kathy Humphrys and Claire Matthews to come on this episode to share their expertise on how they created a yoga teacher training and then licensed it. So they now offer that entire curriculum. I asked them a lot of questions about that to other yoga teachers who want to lead a yoga teacher training but don't have the time or the resources to write the manual or to deal with all of the rules around Yoga Alliance. Aruna and Claire share more about who can become a yoga teacher trainer, what you might want to register with Yoga Alliance, and what the requirements are for that. And they get into the money side of things, how they license out their training and what that translates to in terms of income for those yoga teachers. They also have some amazing tips on how to juggle teaching yoga with writing the curriculum for a yoga teacher training program. I first met Aruna and Claire in person last year at the Toronto Yoga Show, and I'm so excited that we're going to hang out there again this year. And I would love to hear from you. Are you coming to the Toronto Yoga Show? I love to connect with podcast listeners. I am thrilled to announce that Amanda McKinney and I are actually presenting at the Toronto Yoga Show this year. On the Friday, we are talking about how to fill your yoga classes. It's a 2-hour workshop from 6 to 8 p.m. All of the information about that is at theconnectedyogateacher.com under trainings and events. And if there's something that you find today in this episode and you're on the go and you want to come back to it, don't worry. All of the show notes are ready for you at theconnectedyogateacher.com/153. There you can find the links along with clickable timestamps so you can easily go back and refer to a specific part of each and every episode. I want to give a shout out to Sadie, who sent me an email, a personal email, and I asked for her permission to share it on the podcast. Just so you know, Connected Yoga Teachers, part of the original email had a swear word in it, and many of you often think that I don't swear. I do swear. I try not to, but it does happen. I don't do it on the podcast because I think, you know what? I have used enough swear words in front of my 3 children over the years by accident, and I don't want that to happen as you might have little ears in the car with you or around and listening. I joke with my team that I've corrupted my own children. I don't want to then corrupt other people's children. So Sadie wrote to me saying, "Dear Shannon, not sure if you remember, but you and I had a coaching call quite some time ago about building my yoga business. Anyway, I've been a member of the Connected Yoga Teacher Facebook group for several years now, but haven't been able to take in the information because of I'm going to change this word, Connected Yoga Teachers, crappy. That's not what Sadie said, but I'm going to change it here for the podcast. Crappy mind state. I was suffering from imposter syndrome, not good enoughness, and jealousy. I was constantly comparing myself to other teachers and never measuring up, so finally said, F it, and let go of all of my offerings. I gave up on myself, and then finally, I listened to a few of your podcasts. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for the resources and content you provide. I don't know why I wasn't listening before. I think I was so focused on being, quote unquote, the best that all humility went out the window. My perfectionism was running the show, and oh boy, does that ruin everything. I heard you say in one episode that nobody can teach the same kind of yoga that I can, and that while there may be 1,000 books out there, nobody has my story. I finally heard that. I feel restored thanks to your work. A million thank yous isn't enough. Yours in gratitude, Sadie. Oh my goodness, Sadie. Thank you so much for taking the time to write this email. It is in my folder of when it's a bad day, here's what I read to remember why I do this work. When the tech isn't working or I feel like something's just going off the rails, I have a file folder of testimonials that I can open at any point and go and cheer myself up with. And your letter means so much. First of all, thank you for giving me the permission to share this on the podcast. That means so much. Second of all, thank you for being so brave to say that you were feeling the imposter syndrome, the jealousy, the comparison to other yoga teachers, and the perfectionism. We all have these moments as yoga teachers, as people, as humans. And I love that you decided to listen to the podcast and that it really helped you to know that nobody else has your story. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. This means so much. Connected Yoga teachers, I love getting your emails. I have been flooded a bit with emails, but just know if I'm not replying to you right away, it is sitting in my inbox and my plan is to get to it. For now, I love to answer emails personally, so if you want to send me a message, it's me who's reading them and it's me who's replying when I get a chance. You're welcome to go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and either leave me a voicemail, there's a button, I love voicemail messages, or send me an email. I also want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, Schedulicity. This is a company that I have known, loved, used, and trusted since way back in 2011. I use this for all of my online scheduling, and I love the customer service over at Schedulicity. Let's hear our hot tip of the week from one of those rock stars.
Hey there, Connected Yoga teachers. This is Emily with the Schedulicity Hot Tip of the Week. When you create and market yoga teacher training through Schedulicity, we can help you capture your students' impulse to book. Once you've created your workshop, it's a great idea to enable the payment add-on and choose to collect a deposit, full prepayment, or a credit card number at the time of online booking. This way, that money will go into your bank account when a client books, or if they don't show up, you can charge them based on the no-show policy you've created. Knowing that payment is taken care of allows you to put all of your mental energy into helping your students become the next generation of excellent teachers.
Thank you so much, Team Schedulicity. Okay, let's dive in and meet Aruna and Claire. They are the founders of Ambassador Yoga, which serves yoga teachers who want to run their own profitable yoga teacher training. They offer a 200-hour yoga teacher training program that provides teachers with manuals, lesson plans, and everything they need to run their own yoga teacher training in their own home or studio. Aruna has been a certified yoga instructor since 1998, and apart from her work at Ambassador Yoga, she is also the co-founder, director, and lead trainer at Young Yoga Masters Registered Children Yoga School. And she's a published author of multiple books and an award-winning blog. Claire's yoga journey began in 2002, and in addition to her work at Ambassador Yoga, she's the co-founder and director of Yoga Truly Studios, where she still teaches guided classes and restorative therapies. Let's dive in and hear about this very unique business model that they have created and the opportunity that they now offer to yoga teachers. Welcome, Claire and Aruna, to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. It's great to have you both here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Anna.
So tell our listeners, what is the work that you do and who do you do it for? Aruna, do you want to start?
Sure. Our company is called Ambassador Yoga, and we have a 200-hour yoga teacher training that we license out to qualified yoga teachers who want to offer yoga teacher training in their homes or studios, and we provide them with the manuals to offer their teacher training. The other thing we also do is we give them Yoga Alliance status so that they can have a registered school on Yoga Alliance, And there have been a bunch of changes with the Yoga Alliance standards. So we will be upgrading our training to meet all the new standards as well. So if people want to register with Yoga Alliance, they can. And now if they don't want to, they can also offer the training not registered with Yoga Alliance.
And so this is a side thing for both of you. What is the other part of your business, Aruna?
I have a kids yoga teacher training called Young Yoga Masters. And so I've been offering a 95-hour kids yoga training since 2012. And I'm a yoga teacher as well.
Nice. And where are you located?
I live in Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay. And Claire, what about you? What is the work that you do aside from your work that you do together?
So I live in Grimsby, Ontario, and I have a full-time yoga studio with kids classes, adult classes, and of course teacher training programs. And I run that full-time.
And so when you run the yoga teacher training, how often would you run it at your studio?
We run ours, it takes a year to complete the 200 hours. So we run on an every other weekend, every other Saturday for a year. And the program is actually divided into 4 50-hour modules. So it takes us about 3 months at that rate to get through all those 50 hours.
Wow. Every other Saturday. I've never heard this schedule, and I'm so curious now because I think it would be very digestible.
I think so. And that's the point, is that we're taking a lot of information, a lot of techniques, a lot of philosophy and teaching methodology, and we're putting it into an 8-hour day. And the idea is that when people take our training, they get unlimited access to drop-in classes at the studio, so they can start to listen for these cues and listen for these seeds of philosophy while they're attending their drop-in classes, and take 2 weeks to really digest and more so integrate these philosophies and these concepts and these techniques into their life. And then we come back 2 weeks later and share more information from the yoga teacher training. And yeah, it is very digestible. And we actually at our studio run it on a rolling intake. So every 3 months when we begin a new module, new people can join us, so they don't have to wait a full year to begin teacher training, which is really great for our trainees. Every module we have 1 or 2 people graduating and 1 or 2 people starting, and they can see where they can get to, and they can work on different bodies and see people starting with different concepts about philosophy. But it is a carousel that I am never getting off of as far as my Saturdays go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Your Saturdays are included in that. I was
Yes.
like, oh, it's so handy for someone. I was just thinking about the person who maybe works a full-time job,
Yep.
wants to become a yoga teacher. Sorry, I forgot about your Saturdays.
Yeah. And that was actually the original intention. We wanted to do a teacher training program for young adults and for teens. And we thought, well, every other Saturday is something that they could commit to without interfering with their school. And actually, this was Aruna's idea, because she has a kids 95-hour teacher training. She was seeing a lot of kids go through yoga and then hitting their teen years and starting to fall away from yoga because of schoolwork or boyfriends or part-time jobs. So we thought, well, if they had something to work towards the way they work towards lifeguarding or something else that had sort of a system, maybe they would stick with their practice. So we developed the 200-hour training really for them. But in teaching at my studio, the adults started signing up. So everybody's welcome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me, Aruna, how did you and Claire first meet, and what made you decide, let's put a training together?
Well, we met because Claire took my very first kids yoga teacher training when I registered my school. She was in my first graduating class of that training. And at the time, she lived about half an hour farther than I live. The training was in Toronto, so we started carpooling together. And so we drove in, and it gave us a lot of time to talk about different things and our dreams and our goals. And I told Claire that idea about doing the teen yoga teacher training. and then licensing it out to kids yoga teachers. That's who I thought my original target market would be. And then I remember, Claire, I don't even know if you remember this, but a couple months later, you said to me, you know what? I'm the person who's going to help you complete that program. Because I had that idea tucked in my back pocket for like 10 years. And I just hadn't had the time to write the manuals. So I'd written my 95-hour training manuals, and, you know, it takes a lot of work to write manuals. And I just hadn't gotten around to write the 200-hour training. So we bonded, and then little did we know we would become business partners too.
That is so cool. So then you develop this yoga teacher training with the intention all along that you will license it out and let other teachers share this, like that you will write the manual. How does that work? Like, say if I come to you and I say, okay, I want to teach a 200-hour, which, just so you know, I don't. I know I am not the person who wants to teach a 200-hour, but let's say I was.
Fair enough. If you wanted to, people find us all over the place. So like the yoga show, or we've got a website. Most people are finding us online. They're doing a Google search. So now, 4 or 5 years ago, people were having a hard time finding us, but now people are starting to look for it. So I think the word is out there that there is a curriculum that you can license that is fully registered with Yoga Alliance. And usually what happens is they submit just a contact form, and we have certain criteria on there to ask what their background and their experience. And then really it's a couple of phone calls back and forth to get their head around how the program works and give them some insight and figure out where they are, as far as experience and time goes, and why they would like to get involved. And it's very simple. We actually get people up and running fairly quickly. We say within 30 days, actually, because the manuals are pre-written. Also, the lesson plans are pre-written. So we don't just hand people a 200-hour manual. We give them lesson plans for the trainers so they know how to deliver the training, what each minute covers of the training. And because they're experienced yoga teachers, they're familiar for the most part with all of the content. In addition to that, we have created a few webinars to guide them through how to assemble the manuals. And if they have questions or their lineage is different than ours and they're wondering how to incorporate that, it's one-on-one training over the phone or like this online.
Yeah, I'd add one more thing is also on our website, like we do try to qualify who we can serve. So our training is a hatha yoga teacher training. So we don't have manuals for like hot yoga or power yoga or anything like that. So we're kind of like letting people know what they can get with us as well. If they practice hatha yoga, then we can help them.
So then, Aruna, how do you screen people? Say if I was like, oh, I've done one yoga class and now I think I want to be a teacher. Would I be able to just sign up and become a licensed trainer with your program?
Yeah, no. Well, we asked them. That would be scary. Well, we've always done it kind of along the lines of if you qualified with Yoga Alliance, then you would qualify with us. So we were using that as our screening process, that they would have to be able to register with Yoga Alliance as a trainer, as an experienced yoga teacher. So we're not sure how it's going to work. I mean, I guess we'll just have to look at their website, and now that we've decided that we're going to allow people to use it and not register with Yoga Alliance, because their Yoga Alliance is kind of going through the ringer right now with their new standards. And we have like a number of qualified trainers who have been teaching for 20 years, but they don't have the RYT registered yoga teacher 500 hours. So now, even though like some of them have been delivering their teacher training for 3 or 4 years now, they won't be qualified to offer it anymore. So we'll have to figure out a new screening process for that. I'm guessing it will probably involve them showing us their website and letting us see what trainings they've done and what certificates they do have.
That's a whole other thing now. So for our listeners who don't know, then Yoga Alliance has made it so that if you want to lead a 200-hour yoga teacher training, by, is it 2022 or is it 2020?
2022, I think. We have to upgrade by 2021 to keep
Right.
relevant.
Okay. We also have an episode. It was a bonus episode that we did with Yoga Alliance where we tried to get a few of these answers because it can be confusing. So I feel like this offers a bit of an issue for the way things are set up, that before you were really relying on Yoga Alliance to be that gateway of, I'm guessing that they had to be an ERYT 200.
That's right.
And so now they have to be an ERYT 500 to deliver a 200-hour through Yoga Alliance. I wonder, though, if Yoga Alliance would grandfather some of those teachers in. No?
I keep hearing them saying they might do that.
Yeah.
So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
We call Yoga Alliance regularly because it is complicated and we do have lots of questions. So I feel like we're really trying to dig in and understand exactly what it is that they want from their lead trainers, and they're still working out delivering some more of their information. So we're a little bit in a bit of a holding pattern until they release all of their information. But those are questions that we have. And do you need to reapply as a new school? And is there a fee associated with that? That was a big question for us because we have people that want to join now and they'll pay a fee to join Yoga Alliance as a registered yoga school, but I don't want them to have to pay that fee again in a year and a half or 2 years. They can pay their regular maintenance fee. So yes, we do call them regularly too, and they love when we call them.
One of the systems we're using is their affiliate program. So when they start their new school, one of our licensees starts their new school, there was a little button you could check that said affiliate with another syllabus. And so then they could click on that button and then we would just approve that we allow them to be affiliated with our syllabus. And that would be it. They wouldn't have to upload anything. But they're phasing out that program as well. So that's going to be a little tricky for us to figure. So we'll just have to, when we go through the process, we'll have all the documents and we'll have to give them the syllabus so they can submit it with Yoga Alliance.
Right. Just kind of walk them through.
Yeah, we're not too concerned because as Claire mentioned, like we have the lesson plans where our training really does lay out where all the hours are covered and like which ones are teaching methodology, which ones are anatomy, which ones are techniques, training, and practice. And exactly what's happening during each minute of the program. So that part we're not too concerned about. We think that should go pretty smoothly. But we'll have to see now because a lot of people don't want to register with Yoga Alliance anymore.
Right. I guess then for the people who want to register with Yoga Alliance, then you'll have like, here's how you do that. And for the other people, I feel like you will have to be, just so that you don't have, I just took one yoga class. Now I think I want to be a teacher. You don't have those people coming in. So you just have to have your own list of criteria sort of thing.
Exactly. So we're still working that out. I think, the new standards only came out a few months ago. So we're still working our way through how we are going to just work our program around that.
Right.
And we are finding workarounds. We are finding solutions and it's fine. And then everybody does get choices. Yoga Alliance, I think, will be great once they organize everything and move forward with these changes. So it's wonderful. And if people are choosing not to go that way, well, we have a program for them too.
Right. Okay. So how does it work in terms of like if you give them the manual and the lesson plans, do they need to choose the same schedule, the same price? Like how does that stuff work, Claire?
So everybody gets to run their own yoga school however they would like. It gets to be even called whatever they would like it to be. But the curriculum is Ambassador Yoga. They get to decide what price point is fair in their demographic area. They get to choose their schedule. So, I do take a year to run my program. If people want to run it in less than that or an intensive, the studio owners know their clients, so they can work with them in a way that makes the training make sense for them to offer it. So they choose their price, they choose their schedule. What they do have to stick to is the trainer lesson plans, just making sure the right amount of time is spent in each educational category, but how they deliver that is really up to them. So they get a lot of freedom within the program to make it their own school.
Right.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you learned when you first started licensing this out? Like, I'm sure you had to deal with the legal aspects of it.
We do have a copyright agreement. We do have terms and policies and things like that. And one thing that we've learned is that we actually don't give anybody our manuals directly. So if you, for example, were to say, I've got 5 people sign up and I want to lead a teacher training, you would tell me the name of the printer near you. And we would send the manuals in PDF format to the printer. We would handle, how many copies and whether they're double-sided and hole punched and things like that. We would send the request to the printer, and then you would pick them up from the printer and then deliver your training that way. And then on the other side of that, once people graduated, at one point in time, we were actually in charge of authorizing their certificate through Yoga Alliance. So when people did register, maybe I've never taught them, but we had to sign off on their certificate. And if their name didn't sound familiar, we would maybe know that people were not telling us how many people they were training, which has never happened. But that will change. But we figure, if we have a really great rapport with our lead trainers, then it's a very fair system. And it's a program that is working for them. It's lucrative for them. It's building their sub list. It's building their family. They're all able to offer a great training. So they'll be respectful of sort of our boundaries, I suppose, as far as copyright and things like that go in the legalities.
Okay, so just to clarify on that, it's dependent on how many people graduate with the training. Is that right?
Well, they can graduate as many people as they like, but every time they have somebody enroll, we need to know about that. And we'll send basically every time they run a training, they'll let us know how many people are enrolled in their training, and we'll send that number of manuals to the printer for them.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
And so is there a flat fee for this, or how does that work?
Yes and no. So there is an initial fee to license the complete 200-hour program. And as Aruna sort of mentioned, this is a part-time job for both of us. So as yoga teachers in our part-time, it took us together 4 years to write a 200-hour program that met Yoga Alliance standards. So the initial license fee is that people would pay to us. We try to keep fair. So within 2 to 3 people that they graduate, they can have that license fee paid off. And most people start with anywhere from 3 to 12 people in their training. So we want it to be paid off very quickly for them. Having said that, every time that they run the training, whatever they charge their students to take the training, they keep 90%, and we have a 10% sort of administration or manual license fee per student. So they do have to pay up front to purchase the program, and then a 10% ongoing license fee. Having said that, this is why we need conversations, because the program is divided into 4 modules. They can actually purchase one module, teach it to their students, use that revenue to purchase the second module, because yoga teachers often don't have a lot of money up front.
Right.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So they can run it as a rolling intake, and they can purchase the initial product as a rolling intake as well.
Oh, I love this, that there's like this initial fee, and that protects both of you for someone just saying, oh, well, I'll buy it, and then they never do anything with it. Like you're not depending on them, who knows what their marketing is like, or if something happens. That's great. And then they also win if they get people signed up and take action with it as well. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, Aruna, we were talking right before I hit record about how the two of you put this together, and how there was what did you call it? Like a beautiful mind moment. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Aruna?
Sure. That I think we've had a few beautiful mind movements. For those who haven't seen that movie, A Beautiful Mind, where the wife walks in on the husband and the walls are all covered in notes and everything. Well, ours were with Post-it notes, and we planned basically all our modules out with Post-it notes, just making sure we covered all the categories. Every little Post-it note had which category it was in, how many hours it would be. And then after we delivered the program, the first format of it, which was 5 modules instead of 4, we were like, okay, it's time for us to upgrade. And we had our beautiful mind moment where we said, let's put everything on the table. Nothing is sacred. Everything can be revised. Let's decide how, now that we've delivered it for, 2 or 3 years, what will make it better. And so we got all the Post-it notes out again, fresh ones, and filled them all in. And that's when we moved down to moving down from 5 modules to 4 was a big decision, because we had worked so long on those manuals and getting the table of contents and getting all the material, gathered and organized. And then we went down to 4 modules, and it's just been a really good program since then. But yes, we had a few days where we were in my office or in Claire's house, just covered in Post-it notes everywhere. I remember there was one time where Claire's cat was walking across our Post-it notes. We were like, no! Post-it notes.
You do sort of get caught up in it. You have all these ideas, and all of a sudden I think we looked up and went, what is going on? There's Post-it notes everywhere.
We're deep.
But it's a lot of information that needs to be organized in a way that is easy for other people to train it or teach it, because in our head, you knew where you were going in the process. So for me, it's easy to deliver the training, but to make it easy for other people to deliver the training, it needs to be really laid out. So it was a big process, but an important process.
Right. And we didn't know what we didn't know. That's what we kept saying, reminding ourselves, because we had never done a 200-hour training before. And so then once we delivered it, then we thought, okay, this can be better. And then we made it better. And so I'm very happy with our reviews on Yoga Alliance of the training, which I think also helps to sell the program to others, is that we have we have all 5-star reviews on Yoga Alliance, which is really nice to see.
That's amazing. So, I think you're right. And you never know. Like personally, I've run different yoga teacher trainings, prenatal and pelvic health. And you're right. You don't really know what you're doing in the first little bit. And unless you've worked with someone, so it sounds like the two of you have made this process very easy. Like for someone to know, here's the lesson plan. I don't know any yoga teacher that has that actually laid out and it's been tried. Like they've been tested on people. Is there anything, Aruna, that you learned at the very beginning, like when you had your sticky notes out and is there anything that was surprising in delivering a yoga teacher training? Like, oh, this didn't actually fly or work, or this thing really impacted people?
I think the big learning was how to make the training experiential, and developing our skills. Like I started reading a lot of books on how to give very experiential trainings and training from the back of the room, and really letting people dig in and discover the concepts. That would be probably the biggest change, was really so that people felt like they had lived and, worked out all the details of the training, like on their own, rather than just had someone lecture to them for 200 hours, which would be unpleasant. So we developed a few like little sayings. Like one of my favorite ones is use the thing to teach the thing. So, which sounds very obvious, but like if you're talking about lesson planning, then, and sequencing in a lesson plan, then we use lesson plans to teach how to sequence in a lesson plan. So our training includes like 40 lesson plans. That is where we start off with. That we're examining how already looking at how these lesson plans are already sequenced, and then they start sequencing their own lesson plans. So that our graduates just say so often how confident they are with teaching their lesson plans. And it was a surprise to us that they don't actually use the lesson plans that we created for them because they are that confident, you know. So little tools like that, the use the thing to teach the thing is a big motto for us.
That's powerful, because I know I talk to a lot of yoga teachers who leave their yoga teacher training and have a few flows set in their brain and in their body, and that's the flow that they turn to over and over again. So it sounds like you're really teaching them, here's how to do your own, here's how to make your own.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also given them a pile of them, 40 of them. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my very selfish question. So I have, and I've been really clear about this on the podcast, I have the Mama Nurture 85-hour RPYT course that I love. I know what it's like. It took 8 years to write that curriculum and to figure out like, how does it best deliver over the years? And we're just starting to, we have a lead trainer, Rena, has joined our team. It's very hard for me to pass it over, but it was really easy to Rena because she's a very experienced teacher. And she really resonates with everything Mama Nurture. So if in the future I was going to take this and license it out to other people, do you have any suggestions? Like, what would you tell yoga teachers who want to do that? Where do they start?
I think for sure having the lesson plans all laid out, because even when we get calls from people, which usually they're people who have been teaching for a long time, not the people who want to offer teacher training after, 2 months after they graduated. But they're like, we have a Zoom meeting with them and we show them the manuals and the lesson plans that we give to the students, and then we show them their trainer lesson plans. When they see the trainer lesson plans, everything changes for them. They're like, oh, wow, this is like, I can really just do this. I can just follow, 30 minutes we were doing this, 120 minutes we're doing this. That is the game changer, I think. So really making it very easy for them to follow and deliver the training. I think that's my thought, Claire. What were you thinking?
No, I completely agree. And the other thing I would add is that, we do have people who are really interested in becoming lead trainers. They're not quite sure if their students are ready for it. It is a bit of an investment to move forward, and are people going to sign up and take their training? So the other thing that we added is a complete free info night kit. So if they're not sure, before they even agree to affiliate with us, we send them essentially a PowerPoint information session, and then there's written information that you can take 20, 40, or 60 minutes to go through, depending on how much time that you have with them. And it explains how the program works so that they can run a free teacher training info session at their studio, see how many people come, see how many people would actually sign up before they commit to registering, because we don't want people, to buy it if they have nobody to teach it to. So I think that also really helps, that they go in confidence saying, you know what, I've got 5 people who tonight will say that they will do this if I purchase this program. And if I offer teacher training, they will sign up. So then they can purchase it knowing that they've got already some interest. So that really helps as well.
That's a great idea, even for our yoga teachers who are listening, who are already running a training or thinking about running a training on their own. What a great idea to have an info night anyway. Like, even if you were running it year after year, to bring people in and for them to be able to ask questions. I know I do that online, but doing it at a studio in person is great. I feel like that's usually where I met people who took different trainings that I was affiliated with over the years. It was from meeting them in person, and then they were just asking questions. So to do it formally is a good idea.
We also include, because I run the teacher training program at my own studio, I have to promote it to my own community. So we also share those resources. So if we have Facebook posts, similar to what you've done with the pelvic floor professionals, right? Create Facebook posts or Instagram posts, and we share with them, and the website copy and things like that. So they can really just focus on delivering a really great training. They don't have to be a marketing specialist or a graphic specialist to get people interested in what it is that they're doing. We've taken on that role as well.
Oh, that is so handy. That's a huge piece of it as well, is the marketing piece.
Mm-hmm.
What I had done with Rena, and I love how you said, like, you tried this out and then you revamped it and you learned as you went. So Rena and I set it up so that I would go through, like, here's exactly how I taught, even though she had taken it. She had taken the training from me. It's very different when you're looking at it from a teacher perspective. So we have 10 calls booked out for the year, and then went through. So she's about to launch into her first weekend of teaching Mama Nurture. And I talked to her this week and she was like, yeah, I'm feeling really good. Like, I have everything settled and ready to go, ready to dive into the weekend. So that is exciting as well.
And that was actually our initial thought, was that we would do one-on-one training with all of the trainers, and we would estimate, they're experienced yoga teachers. They probably know all of the actual content, but how to deliver it. And we estimated anywhere maybe up to even 20 hours. But then we thought, wow, what if this actually takes off and we actually have a lot of people? Right. Where are we going to find 20 hours per person? So the trainer lesson plans also help. We find some of them, we had a woman start actually on Saturday, got her manuals, got her lesson plans, delivered a great training, and we really have not trained her at all. She's gone through all of our free info night kit and all of the online videos that we have made and the trainer lesson plans, and she was able to do it. So that saved us time on the back end as well.
Right. Oh, that's something for our yoga teachers to think of if they were thinking about doing this. Is it scalable? That's a really great question. No, definitely the way I did it with Rena was not scalable at all. I'm curious as to what both of you would say. So I wrote the Mama Nurture manual, and a lot of people have asked me, will I sell it? Will I sell the manual? So what do you think about that?
Anything is for sale for the right price. No, it's true though, because it's close to your heart. It's something you've worked on, and we're supposed to keep ego out of our life now that we're yogis. But it is really nice to see other studios showing pictures of a teacher training that they're leading. The books are on the floor, and you can kind of see the manuals in their pictures. Like, oh, we wrote that. That's kind of cool. And I haven't even met the trainers. The world is a little bit smaller now that we can do everything online. So I think that's kind of really exciting, but we license it, but I don't know if we would ever sell it completely.
Right.
I'm not sure.
It's not our model.
Making sure it does. Integrity is a huge part of it, and working with Yoga Alliance and their standards. And even if we sort of move away from Yoga Alliance, we still need to have those standards met. So selling it would probably be not something we're interested in.
Right. So you could basically see if people would qualify to still be an EROA T200, and that would be their sort of benchmark with you. So I'm curious then, in that you said it's not our model. So what I want to clarify is, in this model that you have, no one receives your manual, but they can definitely use it. So you have the copyright for it. You send it to the printer. They pay you for a fee. How does that work in terms of their business name? So do they have their own business name and their own yoga school name?
Yep, they can.
Yeah, they can have their own yoga school name on Yoga Alliance. It can not include Ambassador Yoga. Or we've had some affiliates who go by Ambassador Yoga Edmonton, where they've just used our name. We learned along the way what we are selling. So at first we didn't know exactly what we were selling in terms of, we thought we were selling to one trainer, but then we started to realize that we are actually selling a school, and that people would need to bring in other trainers. And so once they set up their school, they can have other trainers training their Ambassador Yoga program under their school name as well. So they get a whole school with Yoga Alliance. So we have some that are like one of our affiliates is in Scotland, our second affiliate, and she goes by Awakening Grace, and she uses the Ambassador Yoga manuals, and they do say Ambassador Yoga on them, but then she'll just say it's Awakening Grace has affiliated with Ambassador Yoga to offer the training.
Okay. Oh, this is really interesting. So they have the option to do it. So could someone just call their business Ambassador Yoga, or do they have to have one more piece, like their location? Or could they just name their business the same as yours?
Well, I guess they probably couldn't, because we're registered with Yoga Alliance under that name. So they probably would say that name's taken.
Right.
And so is the website, right? So, but they could be
Right.
ambassadoryogaedmonton.com or as registered yoga school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That really answers a big question, because a lot of people have also said to me when they become Mama Nurture teachers, okay, can I call my business Mama Nurture? And I'm like, well, no, you can't, because we have the website and that's our business name. Like, it might be very confusing as well for other people, but it's good to know that they can use part of it.
And on the other side of it, yoga teachers don't necessarily want to use Ambassador Yoga, because for myself, I have a yoga studio called Yoga Truly, and branding and a logo. And I didn't want to have to give up all of that to bring in the yoga teacher training program. So it's Yoga Truly, the studio, teaches the Ambassador Yoga 200-hour curriculum.
Right.
Works that way.
How do you deal with manual edits? Are you constantly updating the manual?
There's always one you find in printing. Every time I'm delivering a training, I think, as I'm reading aloud to the group, I'm thinking, oh, look, we have one module called Finding Calm in the Age of Speed. And it took us a long time to remove the word clam instead of calm, because your eyes don't edit it properly.
Right.
So it does come in the training, and I mark it up every time we do a training and then go back and edit it in the original. It does take time.
Anything that you would add to that, Aruna, in terms of the editing the manual?
The editing the manual it is an ongoing process, also because like there is always new information about yoga coming out of things that we thought were good and healthy to do that it turns out is not so good and healthy to do. You know, like even all the talk around headstands and shoulder stands and things like that. So fortunately, we don't have headstands in our yoga teacher training, but it's still just trying to stay up to date on the latest research around yoga. And so we'll usually, if we do an edit, we'll let people know that the edit will be coming up. And we haven't had to do that many edits. Mostly it's just been little typos that we've missed. But that's something that we'll probably look into now that we have the new standards. When we upgrade to the new standards, then we'll probably let everyone know that there'll be new manuals coming out.
Right. Oh, this is such a good point. I know that we revamped the Mama Nurture manual, and that meant all of a sudden it was like, okay, it's not just females that are giving birth. It's like our whole conversation around making things gender neutral was we had to revamp our guiding principles. Our name is Mama Nurture, but two dads are having babies. Like it was a whole new, and I wanted to keep the manual up with that. So I really appreciate, and it sounds like you do so much of the work then for your teacher trainers. Like they just show up and, like you said, deliver a great program.
Yes. And even the trainers that we have right now, Yoga Alliance says, oh, we've got new standards. They don't flinch. We take care of all of that because it's our curriculum. It's our program. So they just rest knowing that in time they will, we'll work through the syllabus. We'll work back and forth with Yoga Alliance to make sure that everything meets their standards, and they will just receive new manuals and new lesson plans and be able to teach. Which again, the reason they're doing this is because they don't have time to write their own manuals.
Mm-hmm. So this is the service that we offer. Yeah. I mean, this is also very rare that Yoga Alliance does something like this. Like, I don't think it's ever happened since they opened their doors. So we hope it won't happen a lot again. But I know the next thing will be the RPYT and the RCYT that will come up, and then trying to figure out what does online training qualify like as. So does it have to be live and online, or can it just be a recorded online training? Because now they've opened up with the new standards that you're allowed to have 40 hours, is it, of online training? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's good that you both take care of all of that stuff for yoga teachers so they really can focus on delivering. Well, if you think about even teachers will sign up for services like school teachers, not yoga school. I mean, like elementary school, high school teachers sign up for different services so that they have lesson plans and teaching aids. And it's really cool that you've both designed this. Is there anything that you would tell yoga teachers, okay, before you put a training together, here's my number one tip?
We had to learn the hard way about things like refund policies. We just thought everybody wants to be a yoga teacher. That's great. So being very clear in your expectations, your refund policies. We actually, after delivering the training a couple of times and bringing on another lead trainer, had to go back and create a rubric for the training to make sure that the students were holding up their end of it. Showing up and paying for teacher training does not mean necessarily participating and getting certificates. So we had to create a rubric once we realized some people were kind of showing up, but weren't really actively engaging and participating. And to get a certificate that's registers you to teach yoga, you, as a person certifying, you need to know that they're capable. So be really clear about what the expectations are to your students, what your policies are ahead of time, because we just got excited and completed it and started teaching it. And then, you're dealing with other people and their priorities on the other side. So being clear, I think, is a big point ahead of time. So we include that too, sample waivers, sample refund policies. So people are at least considering this. Kind of your business essentials is what we call it. So they consider all of these details before just launching into a training full of enthusiasm and then getting caught up in, not having an answer for, well, what happens if I miss a class, or how do I make up a training day, right? You have standard solutions for those things.
Oh, that's really good. Aruna, anything that you would send teachers off with before?
Yeah, I think I would say too, like, just stick in your wheelhouse. Like, don't try to create a training that teaches everyone how to teach every kind of yoga, because it will show it was very scattered. I think to just really take a deep dive into one style of yoga. For us, it's hatha yoga, and to give, I'd say to give students lots of time for personal reflection and group conversations, like lots of processing time, so that the group really forms a strong community. And I think that's why we get such good reviews on Yoga Alliances, because the group really connects with each other, and they also connect it within themselves what they want to learn. So I definitely look for those opportunities if I was starting off again, which we probably will be with our 300-hour training.
Oh, really?
Face the music on that one. Well, now that people will need the 300-hour training, it will be more important than ever to, for those who want to register with Yoga Alliance to have the 300-hour training. So fortunately, Claire and I already both had our 500-hour training before the new standards came out. So that wasn't an issue for us, but there's a lot of teachers who will need to get it.
Oh, yeah. So do you have a 300-hour that you're leading, and are you ever thinking about licensing that?
So we have an outline for a 300-hour program. So we're in the process of updating the 200-hour, running our individual businesses, speaking to our families occasionally, and writing a 300-hour. So we do have an outline. Luckily, we do both have our 500-hour ERYT Lots of trainings. I've taken both of your trainings. So lots of information under our belts. So it's really a matter of sitting down with charts and Post-it notes and figuring out what we want to include in a 300-hour program, and then seeing how they fit into the educational categories. So we, at the moment, have a list of ideas, things that we would like to include in a 300-hour, which will eventually turn into a training and annual, but we're not there yet.
Right. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, and the new standards for the 300-hour will come out next year as well.
Right.
So we might wait to see what they are before writing them and then having to change them all.
If anyone from Yoga Alliance is listening, please just listen to how you are affecting our lives. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for us to have the standards, and it can be scary and frustrating, and really it can have a lot of impact. So, yeah.
I agree. I think once it is all sorted out, it will be a good thing. And it's clear that Yoga Alliance's mandate is to create really exceptional teachers and really professionals in the field. So that's wonderful. It's a muddy process in the moment, but overall, I do think it's a good thing what they're doing. So we just have to all get on the same page and meet those standards.
Right.
And I recall, I was teaching yoga in 1998, and that was when I took my first teacher training. And around that time was when Yoga Alliance was first forming. And so at that time, some teacher trainings were one weekend, and some teacher trainings were, 10 years, studying with your guru or whatever you were learning from. So I do find it interesting that even when people complain about Yoga Alliance, 200 hours seems to be the standard that everyone has adopted. And that didn't exist before. It's hard to imagine that there was a time when the 200-hour wasn't seen as the standard,
Right.
But
right.
It was people were becoming yoga teachers after a one weekend course.
That's amazing. So, scary and amazing. Yeah, we've come a long way since then. That's good. Yeah. I know that both of you are going to be at the Toronto Yoga Show, and I'm going to be there as well this year. So how else can people reach out if they're interested in asking you how they could become affiliated with your program? Or I'm thinking even if they have questions about if they wanted to license their own. I'm not sure if you do that, but if you do, make sure you charge the people for that.
We can share.
I think the easiest way is through our website, ambassadoryoga.com. And we try to give a lot of information on there about the program. And then when people want to get into all the nitty-gritty details of all the prices and everything, that's where we ask them to fill in a little jot form, a little form. And then we get their information so we can find out. And we learned the hard way on that one too, where we had a form and people filled it in, and then we're like, well, should we call them or not call them? And then we actually put in a little button that says, I'm interested, call me right away. And it was like, okay, they want me to call them. Okay, let's just know. Now we know, So there's a little form that people can fill in, and they can get more details as well. And then we'll call you if you leave your number.
Filling out the form triggers a email information package with more details. And the idea is that they have a read through that and then let us know if they want to call us or if it makes sense to them and how to move forward. And they're all different. Yeah. Some people really do kind of take their time with it. And then all of a sudden we'll hear from them a year later. Other people are like, yep, that's great. Who do I send the money to? And we're like, whoa, I would love it, but can we just understand the curriculum first and make sure we're on the same page? So it really depends where people are at. And if you're a studio owner and you have people going elsewhere to take teacher training, this is something that you might want to implement fairly quickly. So we've got it set up for that. Other people, they really want to have their head around all of the manuals, read through them before they start delivering it. So It really depends on personality as well. But we have it laid out that we can get you up and running within 30 days.
That's amazing. I love too that you invite people to call or that you'll call them. I think that's something that we could all take away, even if we're having a workshop, a class, a retreat, whatever, this option to like, yes, I'd like to hear from someone in real life right away, or no, I don't. That's great.
And that really is our model, because people, there are, paper manuals. It's very easy if somebody wanted to run with it and copy many copies and teach it on their own. It's very easy. So again, we do have a copyright in place, but the reality is we want to help other people lead trainings. And so if we make their lives easier and we have a good rapport with them, we might not get to meet them, but we can talk like this online or over the phone, become affiliates properly, and
right.
have a relationship. And if we have a good relationship, then their training will be successful. And we had a woman start a training last week, and her training was starting on Saturday. And on Friday at 4:30, she ordered 3 manuals. And luckily, Aruna got them to the printer before they close. So she did have them for the next morning. But again, you need good rapport. She needs to be able to call and text and be like, I'm sorry, but I need these now. And we need to jump for them because we want their training to be successful. And you don't do that if you don't have personal relationships, I think.
Right.
And we're never going to meet the people that they're students. So we need to have a good rapport with them. I think it is our model, and that's important to us.
That's
so
amazing.
we're keeping track of when people's dates are coming up, just so we know we're going to be sending manuals to them and checking in with them in case they're forgetting.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. I just sent a manual to the printers yesterday. I know what you guys are going through over and over again. I have a very good relationship with the woman at Staples. That's all I can say.
That's what happens.
Thank you both so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. It was lovely talking with you.
Connected Yoga teachers, I would love to hear from you. Thank you again, Claire and Aruna, for this very insightful look of behind the scenes of why you created this, how it works, the nitty-gritty details of it. It was so informative. It's given me a lot to think about with my own yoga teacher trainings that I have created and the various options that I have. So I want to hear from our Connected Yoga teacher listeners. What was an idea that you had? Was there something in today's episode that felt like that's my action step to now take in my own yoga practice, in my life, in my yoga business? I would love to hear from you either in our show notes or in our Connected Yoga Teacher Facebook group. If you're wondering how to join that Facebook group, go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and you'll see the join button right on our homepage. A huge thank you to our team over here at the Connected Yoga Teachers, Suzanne Crunch, Nick, and Sinead. Oh my goodness, you do so many things each and every week that make the podcast episodes possible and so many other things. And I want to just post a reminder, Connected Yoga Teachers, that I am so grateful and thankful for you. It is so fun to be able to hang out virtually in this way where I'm in your earbuds. If you would like to hang out in person, I would love that. As I said, I will be at the Toronto Yoga Conference and presenting Friday, April 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m., teaching on how to fill your yoga classes, but I will also be there the entire weekend. I would love to connect with you. Tell me if you are going to be there. Another way to hang out is the Yoga for Pelvic Health training that is September 19th and 20th in Meaford, Ontario, or the Mama Nurture training, which is in Meaford, Ontario, May and June of 2020. All of the details are on the connectedyogateacher.com website under training and events. It is thanks to Rena Wren that the Mama Nurture training is running, and I'm looking forward to popping in and seeing the people that are enrolled in that training. Already, Connected Yoga Teachers, if you have been listening for a while, you know my question that is coming up now. I want to know, what will you be doing this week to stay connected to self, to your practice, to your community, to anything that helps you to share the yoga that lights you up?